El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know.
Destination Crenshaw, your time is up. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 and Bethesda Temple Church invite residents, churches, businesses, and community leaders along the Crenshaw corridor to join a vitally important community conversation Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. For years now, this community has been living with unkept promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and the lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local Black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating Black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Good afternoon. Prisoners of hope. Let me begin with the definition, because definition is where the argument gets won. Prisoners of hope. My father said if they can define you, they can confine you. Hope is not optimism. Optimism is a forecast. Optimism looks at the numbers, looks what it sees, and predicts a happy ending. Optimism is what you feel when the wind is at your back, and optimism dies the moment the wind turns. Hope is something else entirely. The prophet Zechariah wrote to a people in ruins, a people with no numbers on their side, no reason to expect deliverance, and he called them a name I have never forgotten. He called them prisoners of hope. Not beneficiaries of hope, not recipients of hope, prisoners, bound to it, unable to put it down even when evidence says put it down. There is the difference. Optimism is a mood, hope is a discipline. Now, this afternoon, I want to do something that is going to sound like a contradiction, and I want you to stay with me through it. I want to give you the receipts and tell you why the receipts are not the reason to hope. Here are the receipts. Since this president returned to office, Democrats have flipped roughly 30 legislative seats between the special elections in the 2025 races in Virginia and New Jersey. Republicans have flipped 0, not 1. That has not happened in a decade and a half. We won a Texas state Senate seat that Trump carried by more than 17 points, and we won it with a swing of nearly 32. We won the Florida House District seat that contains Mar-a-Lago. Miami elected its first Democratic mayor since 1997 and the first woman to ever hold that office. In Georgia, Democrats took the seats on the Public Service Commission and had not been in our hands since at least 2006. The president's approval is in the mid-30s. We lead the generic ballot in the polling averages, and some surveys have us in double digits. That's the good news, and I do not diminish it. But I will not sell it to you as prophecy because I have been in this business too long to lie to you about a poll. In 2018, the early special election showed us up 18 points. By that summer, the number had fallen to 2. Democrats still gained more than 300 state legislative seats that November, which tells you what a special election actually is. It is a thermometer. It is not a forecast. It tells you the fever is real. It does not tell you the patient recovers. And here's why I'm not building this hour on polling. On the 29th of April this year, the Supreme Court of the United States handed down Louisiana versus Calais, 6-3. Justice Alito writing, and the court did not have the honesty to strike down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act outright. It did something quieter and more effective. It raised the bar so high that a black voter can almost never clear it. And it took the states that if you're caught discriminating by race, you simply say you were discriminating by party and walk out of that courtroom scot-free. Justice Kagan, in dissent, said the ruling leaves Section 2 all but dead letter. 61 years later after Selma, 61 years. So I understand what I'm telling you. I hope, and if hope were optimism, Calais would have killed it in April. But they did not have the receipts on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They had discipline. They had a bill that had not passed yet, and a court that had not helped them, and a country that had not decided. The fix was already written. It's called the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and it runs straight through this November. Hope is a discipline. Let's go to work. Atiba, welcome forward to the program. Atiba Madian, Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, Strategic Alliance Consultant, and President of Party Politics U.S. I do know that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, Atiba Madian is going to talk about the path of hope, the road to hope, the discipline, and the work necessary to get it done. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of Black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the Black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the Black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare Black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for Black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the Black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Atiba is the former Deputy Executive Director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. He's worked as a TV political contributor for a number of entities. He was most recently a guest host on Rising, an American daily news and opinion web series produced by Washington, D.C.'s political newspaper, The Hill. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, it's good to be here.
Atiba, I wanted to begin with your thinking on the thoughts and the structure of hope in this environment. You're doing some extraordinary work, bringing the importance of the midterms to the American people. Can you share with us what your thoughts are on what hope means in this context?
Yeah, thank you for that, Jesse. And actually, I want to start by, every show, and I'm so appreciative of it, that you introduced me as the president and founder of Party Politics US. So if you don't mind, I want to just say that Party Politics US was founded in 2009 when a few people kept asking me, Atiba, okay, we just had the 2008 elections. People came together across political lines and religious lines, ethnicity, etc. How do we keep people together? And my answer to them was a simple one. It was that we have to make sure that we figure out a way to make it fun. And unfortunately, what we've seen in the last 17 years is the divisiveness, because we've fed into the opposite in what I believe of hope. But with party politics, the idea has always been about putting the gathering, the party. In fact, the tagline is putting the party before the politics, not the political party. It's about bringing music and sports, art, culture, community, so that the conversations can begin from a place of shared humanity rather than division. To me, that's where hope is. And, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the World Cup. And if you look at the World Cup, it didn't matter what your ethnicity was or what country you were. We were all cheering for a game, whether or not we were going for our countries, et cetera. So in terms of, starting this off in terms of talking about hope, there are reasons why I say things about the fact that words matter. There are reasons why we started a campaign a few years ago called Midterms Effing Matter and are bringing it back again now, because in terms of hope, you also, I think, have to have some way of bringing about our humanity and making things fun, even in the midst of things not being so much fun. And right now, there are a lot of people that are hurting, whether or not it's because of affordability, whether or not it's because they're afraid that their votes don't count. But somehow, in terms of all of this muck and mire, I still believe that we have to find ways to give people something to cling to that's fun, to keep them hopeful.
I really do appreciate that answer. When I think about where we are in our country's history, and this is going to be positioned in the form of a question, that's definitely hope is optimism, that to make it fun, to make it enjoyable, to make it something that motivates and inspires us to keep, as my father would say, hope alive. But given the forces that we're up against, the idea of hope as a discipline is actually quantifiable as a discipline. That means we have to go to work. And I know that's exactly what you've been saying, that we have to go to work, from voter registration to voter participation to every obstacle that we've seen and every obstacle that we have not seen yet that could present itself as a factor in denying the franchise to us in November, whether it's ICE agents or federal agents or martial law or whatever Donald Trump is working on that we still can't see, some October surprise. By the way, I haven't heard that term in a moment, but I think we can expect some kind of October surprise. Hope as a discipline means that when, from my perspective, the winds shift, we are prepared to push forward anyway. Your thoughts on the hope that you've been advancing, midterms effing matter, as a discipline. We're going forward anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we also were talking about Reverend Sharpton, Ben Crump, Martin Luther King III, and their plans to do a march on Washington. And, one of the things I love about what we do at Party Politics US is it gives me opportunities to talk to people that I don't normally get to talk to. It doesn't matter what their political parties are. It doesn't matter their ethnicities. And one of the things that I said was, I think that we should be looking at how we have marches to go vote. Not one person has told me the opposite. Not one person has said that they disagreed. And, part of that is because I think that within our communities, our churches, our community centers, et cetera, can do things that make it fun. They can have a barbecue. They can have hey, come back to the church, come back to the community center, come back to my home after they go and vote. Oftentimes when I look at, and I've attended marches, whether or not it was a women's march or a number of other marches in Washington, D.C., when you get to the end, there's always, well, what's next? When you think about the March on Washington in 1963, it wasn't just a march. It was a march with a demand. When you look at Selma, it was a march with a demand. In terms of what is it now that we're looking at, I think that when I keep saying the words, we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, those are not just words. These are words that I mean that we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, because I look at Georgia, I look at Pennsylvania and the election returns that came back in 2020, and we didn't know the result of those elections for days on end. And the margin of victory was 12,000 in Georgia, and I believe 18,000 or 20,000 in Pennsylvania. So, everybody's vote matters and everyone's voice matters. And your voice right now is your vote. And there are a lot of issues that are on the ballot that candidates are going to talk about. And I continue to say, because in terms of the work that we're doing and the people that we're talking to, affordability is the number one issue that's on the ballot.
Agreed. When I think about the march in 1963, I think about Brown versus the Board of Education in 1964. I think about Rosa Parks sitting down in 1965. I think about 1956.
56, and 54.
In that same period, Emmett Till was killed. In fact, Rosa Parks responded by saying, "I was thinking about Emmett Till when I took my seat." I think about the activity from 1956 to 1963 that led to this question of affordability. The March on Washington on August 28, 1963 was about affordability, organized by the Pullman Porters, called the March for Jobs and Justice. That's what the march was about. It was about affordability. Of course, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech has come over time to identify the march with a dream, with an expectation, with the nation living up to the true meaning of its creed, and all that we know the I Have a Dream speech to be. But it was a march about affordability. And so when I see the factors coming together with young Black men who have been lynched and or executed, or unexplained cases like Nolan Wells, and I look at Janetta Brantley, who's come forward with audio, and Ben Crump's press conference today that says we need more engineers to look at the tow call in the Nolan Wells case. Nolan Ryan's a baseball player, right? I can't get him off my mind. He's fastball. Nolan Wells's case. When I think about the circumstances that lead to an August 28th, an annual, if you will, remembrance of the concomitants of circumstances that came together that really changed the trajectory of the 1964 election, which led to a Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Wouldn't you agree that certain circumstances are coming together where a greater clarity, which will lead from August 28th to the November election, to greater participation in the polls with greater clarity on what the issues are that close to the election that matter to our people?
I think time will tell. We saw what happened in August of 2024. We saw in a span of August 2024, when Kamala Harris gave her acceptance speech. I was with you, Jesse. We were literally on the floor backstage in a room listening to that speech, to what happened in November 2024 and the election being lost. We've heard a lot about things that happen, that the president says happened in terms of election integrity from 2020. I could go into where my thoughts are in terms of election integrity for 2024, but that doesn't get us anywhere forward. What I think is, as you said earlier, you haven't heard the term October surprise in a while. I do believe there's going to be an October surprise. I think it's very important for us to be very truthful and very honest with the electorate about what may be coming down the road. And it's so important. I know I spend my mornings in the gym. I'm literally in the gym every morning around 6:30. And while I'm in the gym, I'm plugged into a podcast or a YouTube or something about the past history of our nation. And this morning, two things. Yesterday morning, I was listening to something about Booker Wright, and I want to talk about him in a few minutes. But before I get there, can we run a clip that would like to share about Jackie Robinson? And I think that can help in terms of with our conversation.
Yes, we're ready for the clip on Jackie Robinson.
In those days. Well, on my day, when we played the New York Yankees today, I think we might have beaten them. Really? And we played that day. We know we played Major League All-Star. Mm-hmm. We won the majority of the games from the Negro at the Major League All-Star. But it wasn't that we were better than the Major League All-Stars, but the fact is the Major League All-Stars were actually just making a payday. But we had to prove, we were trying to prove to the world that they weren't superior because they were white. Right. And we weren't inferior because we were black. Yeah. We had a point to prove, so we would stretch that single into a double, that double into a triple, that triple into a home run. Did you, tell us about Jackie Robinson. Ooh, outstanding individual. And Jackie was so different than we were because we were acclimated to segregation. But not Jackie. Jackie came to the Monarchs in 1945. We've been going to a filling station in Oklahoma for 20 years, the Monarchs. We'd never gone to the restroom because on the door it said for white men only. So Jack is there, and we played that night in this town, and the next day we go to the filling station to get some gas. The man put the hose in the tank, said, "Oh, you boys were wonderful as usual. They filled the park up. Good to see you." Jackie got off the bus, started walking to the restroom. He said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to the restroom." He said, "You know you can't go to that restroom." Jackie said, "Take the hose out the tank." Now the man thought then, because we got a 50-gallon tank on this side. We got a 50-gallon tank on that other side. He's not going to sell that much gas, to one customer until we got back there again. You know what he said? "You boys can go to the restroom, but don't stay long." Comes down to economics a lot of times. Of course. But the gist of that story is this. From that day on, we never got gas at the station. We couldn't go to the restroom. We never played in a town that they didn't have a place for us to stay and to eat. Jackie said, "Listen, you're playing, you're making money for these people. This is a capitalistic society. You don't have to take these things." Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much for sharing that clip. Your thoughts?
Yes, I mean that's hope. if you can, I don't think that at any point in our nation have we seen segregation or any of these other things change without a demand. And Frederick Douglass told us this. But the demand often is because our economic power. And we have been spending a lot of time talking about the semantics of what people are doing to us, not enough time, in my opinion, on what is it that we can do to them. And that for me is the currency of dignity. And Dr. King said, we shall overcome. Lyndon Johnson, when he introduced the voting rights bill, said, and we shall overcome. He used the language of Dr. King. Dr. King eloquently gave America a roadmap. But the thing is that map, that journey that they took was never easy. It was, when you think about Jimmy Lee Jackson, when you look at James Reeb, when you look at the men and women who died, who were injured, getting us the right to vote, I think that if we want to be hopeful in this time, that we can show the clips and we can show the stories like this of Jackie Robinson to give hope, but we can also need to tell the stories of those who came before us and sacrifice, in many cases, the ultimate sacrifice of giving their lives for us to have the right to vote. That's why we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome.
I appreciate that analysis very much. My father, when I was very, very young, his friend Jackie Robinson, along with Rachel Robinson and Sharon Robinson, came over to our home. I remember my father preaching at the funeral of Jackie Robinson. Rachel Robinson is more than 100 years old today. Sharon Robinson's son was named Jesse Robinson. She named her son after my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I think about it in this moment because that's a family of extraordinary dignity. And yes, they represented hope. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward right here with the T-Bone.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has signed an executive order aimed at reducing gun violence by tightening firearm purchasing standards for police.
And it should support responsible business practices.
Gun dealers will have to disclose licensing and compliance information while the city develops new procurement rules designed to prevent trafficking, straw purchases, and theft. HBCU Howard University says more than 200 students have been re-enrolled after submitting required information. The update comes after more than 500 incoming freshmen were told they could not start classes next month. And Los Angeles prosecutors say they do not believe 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was pregnant when she was killed. Earlier messages between the teen and Black singer David, whose real name is David Burke, discussed pregnancy and abortion, but prosecutors say those messages were not from the time of her death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers snapped a 4-game losing streak at home with a 4-2 win over Seattle Wednesday night. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 8th against Colorado. The Dodgers pitching staff had a much better performance than they did on Wednesday when they were tagged for 5 home runs. No homers for Seattle last night and no runs on the scoreboard until the 8th inning. Nothing new to report on Aaron Donald. The 10-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle is considering coming out of retirement at age 35. Donald retired in 2024 after 10 remarkable seasons with the Rams. Donald is working out every day at the Rams facility, but has given no timetable of when he'll make a decision. Several thousand people showed up for the first day of training camp Wednesday in El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk Radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Thought-Provoking Thursdays. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hey, it's going down tonight. Residents, businesses, churches, artists, and other stakeholders have questions, and they deserve real answers, not just promises. Destination Crenshaw is behind schedule, years behind schedule. If empty promises poured concrete, this project would have been opened years ago. This week, join us. No. Join us tonight at a community town hall to talk about the delays, the timeline, and what happens to the Crenshaw corridor. This public hearing is your chance to get on the record and speak directly to the people making these indecisions at City Hall. Join us tonight, July 30th from 6:30 p.m. or at 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. Between the construction crawl and the parking spots, it has eaten alive. Rideshare is now less a suggestion and more of a survival tactic around Lemert Park. So please rideshare if you can. If you cannot join us in person Thursday night, the public hearing will be broadcast live on radio and streamlined online at KBLA Talk 1580. Our town hall warm-up is hosted by Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte, starts at live at 6 p.m. Tavis is going to moderate the town hall at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss it. It's your culture, it's your community, your voice, and please, please send me a picture of Tavis Smiley with his hard hat on. I want to see it so badly that I'm going to post it on my own Facebook page and social media accounts. Get him, Tavis. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in live conversation with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Good to be here, Jesse.
Atiba, let's continue down this line of hope, if you will. What has Trump actually won since he's been reelected? Not very much. Democrats, on this question of optimism, have a thermometer that has shown a number of decisive victories, including but not limited to the fact that the president of the United States in all polling is absolutely underwater. Isn't, in a real sense, hope alive? But of course, as the November elections come about, the polls will obviously tighten. Should we have any concern that our hope must not just be without work, but that our hope must be part of a discipline to persevere and push through in spite of?
Yeah. So, the hope, if you look at the polls, which I try not to, the hope is that Democrats will regain some sense of control over the House and the Senate. But they have their own issues right now because I feel like they're not concentrating enough on the affordability conversation. But I will say that when you look at where the president is, the president's poll numbers or approval ratings are under 50%. And the last time they were this low, we were in 2018 during his first presidency. And the Democrats picked up 41 seats in the United States House of Representatives. Unfortunately, they didn't gain the 2 seats. They lost 2 seats to Republicans. So, when you start doing the math and you're looking at a state like North Carolina, where Roy Cooper is leading, and then a state like Maine, which had Plattner, who dropped out, and Susan Collins, who has repeatedly won races, but it seems to be in play. You have Texas with Tallarico. Just this past week, I had the opportunity to see and talk to Juliana Stratton, who is in Illinois, but she's going to win what has traditionally been a safe United States Senate seat. But she will be, I think, the second African-American woman from the state of Illinois to take a U.S. Senate seat. There are things that are going on all around the country. The media is not reporting them to us in this way because there's more to be gained by demonstrating and talking about the divisiveness within our politics. But I think that right now there is a great deal of hope, and there should be a great deal of, I don't want to call it excitement, but definitely there should be a great deal of motivation for people to vote in these numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, because the gaining or regaining the power, putting the guardrails back on the democracy, having some type of semblance of adults in Washington is possible. But it's not just about what can happen in Washington. It's also what can happen on the state level. You started off with some numbers that I know that I've also shared, that Democrats have flipped 30 seats since President Donald Trump took office. Democrats have won seats that were traditionally not supposed to be theirs in Texas and Georgia and across the country and some other places. So it's really just a matter of, as you say, hope requires a great deal of discipline. I think it requires going back to learn from the lessons of a Jackie Robinson, the lessons that happened with organizations like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SCLC, and others who have been involved and who got us to this point, and recognize that what we have today, Jesse, and far as resources and as far as access, is far more than what they had then. So I believe that we should be accomplishing much more now.
You know, over the course of last week, James Carville came out and essentially said that the Democratic Party is in shambles. And he reached all the way over because he thinks Martin needs to step aside immediately, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. And he advanced the idea of David Hogue. Now, David Hogue is young, capable of raising a lot of money. He's showed that in this primary process and has been running a number of young candidates. But he's also, at the same time, David Hogue put up candidates against traditional, long-serving African-American members of Congress and other incumbents who have an institutional history of the Congress of the United States. And he seems to be a lot less concerned about the Voting Rights Act and the issues that drive Negro participation than he is about winning for Democrats. What are your thoughts? Is there something lost in this environment?
You know, so the reason why I was in Chicago, I just returned a couple of days ago. The reason why I was in Chicago is because the National Conference of State Legislators is holding their conference there. State Representative Marcus Evans is the president, African-American president of the largest body of state legislators in the country. That's not because of just African-American votes. He took him having to get votes from other legislators to win that seat. You know, this is going to be something that's going to be maybe unpopular with you, Jesse, but a lot of us have been in these positions and have not delivered. And it's not just about delivering to our community, it's delivering to the country as a whole. And while I recognize that there is a semblance of need and hope in the idea of us being in these elected positions, the bottom line is if you're not doing your job, then you don't deserve to have the seat. And if someone like David Hogue, who I believe was in, I think it was here in Florida, the mass shooting, he has built a grassroots organization, and James Carville saying that he should be put in there. I really haven't agreed with the last few heads of the DNC. I think that they've done more to try to hold the line as opposed to recognizing that there is a young, burgeoning, big influx of young voters who have ideas, who have energy, who are affected more by this affordability crisis than some of us who are just trying to hold on to the things that we've acquired in our lives. They don't have anything to hold on to. So if we're not listening to them, if we're not paying attention to their needs and their desires, they're going to push people out. That's what you had with SNCC, during the civil rights movement. That's how we ended up getting the John Lewis's, the Bobby Rushes, those who came from the Black Panthers and SNCC and SPLC.
Let me break right here because we do have to come forward, but I do want to say that these African Americans that you're mentioning after 1965 are not running against incumbent African Americans. They're running for the first time in 1965 to secure these seats under the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They are beating white Southern Democrats in districts that gave African Americans an equal opportunity of winning. We'll talk more about that when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., along with Atiba on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are at Thought Provoking Thursday, and with one of our most thoughtful contributors, Atiba, former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, NBCSL, and a Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, Jesse, great being here.
Atiba, how can we get some of those T-shirts?
Thank you for asking. You can go to www.midtermseffingmatter.com. That's midterms, F-I-N-G, matter.com. And on the website, you can find out whether or not your registration is up to date. You can register to vote if you're not already registered. You can find out who's on your ballot, where to go and vote, and many other things that are pertinent and relative to voter education and getting ready to vote on November the 3rd. Find out if your state has already had its primary. The reason why we have this information on is because that is the most important part of this election, is for all voters to be aware and know where to go and vote and what their voting status is, to make sure that their registrations are up to date. So please don't just look at it one time. Just keep checking. Make sure that your voting registration is intact and know exactly where to go and vote.
I appreciate that. And before we get to your word of hope, I want to make a distinction between what I perceive, and don't get me wrong, James Carville is a friend of mine. I've got dozens of pictures with James Carville, including Bill Maher and other shows that we've done together, just laughing and having a great time. But I recognize the difference between a surgeon and a butcher. And David Hogue's philosophy, at least as I've confronted it, because I had a David Hogue candidate in the race against me for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, was a campaign against historic memory and some incumbents. In my case, I wasn't even the incumbent. It was just, it's Jesse Jackson Jr., it's time for a change. The whole kind of David Hogue impetus and modus operandi is more like a butcher. Young cat, lot of money, comes in, bringing us leadership from the outside that people in the congressional district itself do not and does not know, all in the name of we're Democrats and we're going in a certain direction. Whoa, 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 pump the brakes on that. We are a people that from July 4th, 1776 to the present have been on a particular destiny of our own in this republic. And that can be said true of Hispanics, immigrants, and many, many others. I'd like to make the distinction that we're on the same page, but I do think when it comes to us, we need more strategic thinking on the question of a surgeon who looks at our hearts and our livers and our kidneys very as specialists and not as butchers. Get this person off the table and just bring me the next person. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, you know, Jesse, I get calls from people all the time who want to run for office, or people who want to connect me to someone running for office. And the thing I always ask every candidate, first question, what's the theme of your campaign? Every to a T. Not one person has done opposite of this. Everybody wants to give me the long spiel about what they're running for, why they're running, what issues are important to them. I just want to know the theme. And the reason is I was a registered Republican until 2016. I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Bush twice. I voted for President Clinton once. I voted for his father once. For President Bush's father once. I don't vote because somebody is a political party. I don't vote for somebody because they look like me. I vote for someone because I feel like they have my best interest in mind. And just because you look like me or you say the right things doesn't mean you're going to be for me.
Interesting.
That is so important. It is so important, Jesse. We have taken, and our candidates have taken being an incumbent for granted. You have to work for my vote.
I want to go to our
You
next
have
clip.
to earn it.
I want to go to another clip that you brought forward, but I do want to say this first, just before we get there. Gee, just give me a moment, and that's this. I've been a Democrat not since 2016. I've been a Democrat since I could vote. And I know the history of this party, the Neo-Confederates, and the Confederate Party that was the party of Thomas Jefferson, Jefferson Davis, and many others. And I also recognize the battles that we won to make the Democratic Party better. My life has been invested in making the Democratic Party better and come to terms with who we are. And so you can appreciate the shift itself as being somewhat cataclysmic, you know, even for someone who's relatively new to our party. I've been on picket lines fighting Democrats in Chicago my whole life to get Harold Washington elected because there was no room for him, Lori Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson. There was just no room unless Negroes came together because we weren't Democrats. We were independent Democrats making democratic machines do right by us. That history matters to me. It matters to us. Let me go to this clip. We'll hold the clip if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do it next week. Let's
do it next week. Go ahead.
Because it really deserves, after when we listen to that, it really deserves a longer conversation. But I want to say this about what you say. One, I'm a registered independent, and I'm doing so for a reason. I still want whoever is on a ballot, I want you to earn my vote. And I want you to earn it because I want you to know and to realize that you have to work, not just for my vote, you should be working for all of our votes. As somebody who works in public affairs and government relations, I'm only as good as my last win. So, I have to keep working. So why don't you have to keep working as an elected official? And the thing that I think that we get caught up into is, yes, it sounds good to say that we have 60, 70, members who are Americans of African descent. And I use that term purposely. And this is what I hope to be able to continue talking about on this show with you, Jesse, because I'm an American, but before all that, I'm a human being. And we're not treating each other as humans. And I've seen too many members of Congress go to Congress and become wealthy. I'm not saying it's us, but it's just the reality. And so that means that there are some things that are going on that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and many of us are hurting. And this election has consequences. The last election had consequences. But my hope is that when we are voting this go round, that we are not voting because, oh, I like the way they look. We're not voting because, oh, I like the way they say. Vote because you believe truthfully that that person is going to go to Washington, is going to go to your state legislature, that's going to go to your city council, that is going to go there to work. Because this right now, if you look at where we were 100 years ago, then it was the millionaires. Today, it's the billionaires. And they're taking our money, and we're heading for an economic downturn. If we don't get this right, we are heading for an economic downturn that is going to be far worse than anything we could have imagined in 2008.
I know that our time has expired, but I hate to close on the last note because I always give it to you. Listen, I think Black members of Congress and Hispanic members of Congress work their asses off to get there. I don't see them as lazy. I don't start from the presupposition they're lazy. When I was there, members that I've met, they work hard as hell. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Tiba, welcome. You're always welcome back. You're a regular contributor. Look forward to seeing you next week. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has signed an executive order aimed at reducing gun violence by tightening firearm purchasing standards for police.
And it should support responsible business practices.
Gun dealers will have to disclose licensing and compliance information while the city develops new procurement rules designed to prevent trafficking, straw purchases, and theft. HBCU Howard University says more than 200 students have been re-enrolled after submitting required information. The update comes after more than 500 incoming freshmen were told they could not start classes next month. And Los Angeles prosecutors say they do not believe 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was pregnant when she was killed. Earlier messages between the teen and Black singer David, whose real name is David Burke, discussed pregnancy and abortion, but prosecutors say those messages were not from the time of her death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers snapped a 4-game losing streak at home with a 4-2 win over Seattle Wednesday night. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 8th against Colorado. The Dodgers pitching staff had a much better performance than they did on Wednesday when they were tagged for 5 home runs. No homers for Seattle last night and no runs on the scoreboard until the 8th inning. Nothing new to report on Aaron Donald. The 10-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle is considering coming out of retirement at age 35. Donald retired in 2024 after 10 remarkable seasons with the Rams. Donald is working out every day at the Rams facility, but has given no timetable of when he'll make a decision. Several thousand people showed up for the first day of training camp Wednesday in El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. After confrontation, then what? Good afternoon. In 1967, 1 year before they killed him, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a sentence that most America has managed to quote for 60 years without ever once obeying. He wrote, "True compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It's an understanding that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring." We built a national holiday on the first half of that sentence. Every January, we fling our coins, we paint our schools, we serve a meal, we post a photograph, and every January, we walk right past the second half, the edifice, the building, the structure, the thing that keeps producing beggars faster than we can feed them. Let me define my terms this afternoon because definition is where the argument again gets won. When most Americans hear the word violence, they see a fist, a gun, a body in the street. That is one kind of violence, and it's real, and I will not diminish it. But peace scholars, Johann Galtung, chief among them, teaches us that violence has three faces, not one. There is direct violence, a blow, the bullet, the burning cross. There is structural violence, the systems, the policies, the processes that quietly limit what a life can become. No one throws a punch. The zip code throws it. The lending policy throws it. Not getting concrete